welcome to the City of Summerside Monthly Council meeting for August 19th, 2024 here in beautiful downtown Summerside in our historic city home. Begin with our orders of business. I will call the meeting tonight to order here at 6:32 p.m. I will call for a motion to approve the agenda as presented from a member of council. Councillor McDougall, second. Councillor Snow, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed, changes, or revisions? I'll add one, actually, Council, before we complete the vote. We had just, as a sort of, we'll call it 7I. Council has requested an in-camera discussion on community safety and policing matters. So with that amendment, could I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Councillor McDougall, second. Councillor Duran, all in favor of that, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Yeah, in camera at the end of the evening. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yes. Yeah. So the agenda will proceed as amended. We begin each one of our meetings here at the City of Summerside by acknowledging that the land upon which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Abogway First Nations. Abogway is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. At this time, I'll ask any member of council to declare a conflict of interest with respect to any item on the agenda before you this evening. Seeing none, we're going to keep ticking right along. On to item 2, minutes. Approval of the following meeting minutes. I'm just making a note here. I try and do them, bundle them together. I will begin by calling for a motion to approve the following minutes. July 15th, 2024 monthly council meeting, August 6th committee of the whole meeting, August 6th, 2024 special council meeting. Can I get a motion from a member of council to approve? Councillor McColman, second. Councillor Snow, all in favor of adopting the minutes as presented, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or changes? Hearing none, those minutes are carried. Next are minutes of planning board with respect to the August 6, 2024 planning board meeting and the August 12, 2024 planning meeting, which has been supplemented to include additional public comments that were received on the matters before the planning board as of that evening. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Councillor Snow, second. Councillor Duran, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are carried. At this point, I open the floor to members of council for accolades or recognitions for anyone in and around our community. Councillor Snow.
I just want to thank the City of Summerside Community Services staff, the volunteers, Baseball Canada, everybody that put on the women's under, what was it, 21? Under 21 championships. I spent the weekend there, had family. I was sponsor, did a whole bunch of things, and it was a great weekend of ball, and the event was unreal. So we continue to host really good events in our city and just recognize all the people that put the time in to make that possible.
Thank you. I just wanted to give a little bit of an acknowledgement to Barb McNeil. 35 years ago this month, she swam the English Channel and completed successfully as the first Atlantic Canadian woman to do so. So 35 years ago she did that, and I think that's pretty impressive. She was also my first ever coach. So we have a little bit of a connection there.
Yeah, just I guess in line with the sports shout out, certainly huge congratulations from everyone to Hannah Taylor, who rocked it at the Olympics as far as I'm concerned. So well done. Huge feat.
Awesome. Thank you, councillors. I just have one extra one to add. Summerside's own Ali Walker was nominated for Female Artist of the Year for the Canadian Country Music Awards, which are coming up September 14th. So a huge shout out to Ali, who performed for her first time in her hometown at our Canada Day event here in the city this year. And last night, she opened and then sang with Shania Twain. So pretty cool to see her career continue to blossom. At this point, we move into public presentations, petitions, and delegations, and we don't have any scheduled for tonight. Appointment to committees. There are no appointments before committee tonight. And then we're going to move into the into the good stuff, the introduction and reading of bylaws and resolutions. Quick note for anyone in the gallery, if you see me rubbing my desk, I had a couple of days of childcare here this week, where my 9-year-old was found here spending some time at the desk. So the empty goldfish packages that are around here are not mine, and I'm continuing to find them throughout both my desk here and elsewhere. So with this, I would pass it over to Councillor Duran. Councillor, over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Guess as we do every resolution, I'll just read it, and if there's any discussion to be had, we can do so. Resolution COS 24-077, whereas the City of Summerside has been successful in receiving CMHC funding under the Housing Accelerator Fund program, and whereas the initiatives under the successful application involved a number of policy adjustments and planning updates, including in relation to the city's east-west connector growth node, legalizing 4 units on residential lots, increasing densification around post-secondary institutions, and reducing exclusionary zoning. And whereas the city has undertaken steps to meet initial milestones under the initiatives and begin the implementation of the recommendations of the Task Force on Attainable Housing. And whereas in accordance with Section 5.7 of the Zoning Bylaw, Council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, suitability of the site for the proposed development, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses, any comments from residents or other interested persons, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking and parklands for accommodating the development and any projected infrastructure requirements, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety and on public safety generally, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources, impacts on city finances and budgets, other matters as specified in this bylaw, and other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved that Official Plan Amendment OP 39 to amend the City of Summerside Official Plan be hereby formally adopted, and be it further resolved that the City of Summerside East-West Connector Street Plan, the 2008 Secondary Plan, be hereby repealed. And Official Plan Amendment OP 39 is attached. This bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting held on August 12th, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor. That was moved by
We don't, I don't have a mover or a seconder at this time. Didn't know if there was any discussion to be had first, or if we need a mover and a seconder in order to discuss.
Yeah, it should have to be.
Yeah, ideally, we'd put it on the floor first and then have a discussion.
Okay.
Moved by Councillor Snow, second,
I'll second it.
Councillor Duran. Okay, resolution COS 24-077, moved by Councillor Snow, seconded by Councillor Duran, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, discussion amongst council? Councillor Snow?
I'm gonna get right to it. I would like to move that we table this to a future meeting, hopefully our September meeting. I know there's some time limits to this motion in regards to the housing funding, but I think we owe it to everybody, residents and council, to make sure that we definitely explore every option. Not that we haven't, but I just want us to get back, and I think council and hopefully the public will appreciate the fact that we are pushing to see what we can do. There are some things that residents have spoke out against, whether or not we can do anything to move that'll be determined as we speak with the CHMC officials. But I think right now we would table it to look at those options.
And I would second that, just with the addition that I know personally I have very, this isn't just a matter of kicking the can down the road myself, and I know others have very specific questions since that last meeting that we absolutely need answers to at least before I'm comfortable making a vote, and we kind of discussed some of those earlier. So, yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, so for members of the public who wouldn't be familiar with some of the rules and procedures here, when a motion table is placed on the floor, then there is an immediate vote on the motion. There's no further discussion on the motion to table, and then it is tabled to a subsequent meeting. I am just going to ask for clarification, Councillor Snow and Councillor Duran. Would that be the tabling of 6A, 6B, 6C, and 6D, as they are all interconnected resolutions on the same matter?
That is correct.
Okay. So a motion to table, moved by Councillor Snow, seconded by Councillor Duran, with respect to resolutions 6A, 6B, 6C, 6D, and the monthly council meeting package of August 19th, 2024, is on the floor. With that, I will call for a vote of council. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion to table is passed, and that will be at the next council meeting. With that, we jump ahead to 6E, which is Resolution COS 24-071, 480 Central Street. Councilor McDougall, yeah, as you know, we can't have any further discussion or debate on a matter that has been tabled. So, but just with respect to explaining to people the procedure and process, so when a matter is voted to be tabled by council, it is moved to a subsequent meeting. So the item, it gives council the opportunity to make any further adjustments, changes, outreach, what have you, and then they would come back to a subsequent council meeting, and that will be posted in due course, as are all our meetings. So if anyone is here just for those items, there's no further debate or discussion or vote on that tonight. The next council meeting would be the second Monday of September, and I don't have the date in front of me. Third Monday, 16th would be September 16th. As well, I would say sometimes things move to special council meetings. You know, we have all sorts of different meetings, so just keep apprised. And I'm sure all of council can do their best to advise residents when our next meeting is.
Question, if I
Yeah,
may,
Councillor.
to either yourself or to Gordon. I mean, I obviously think we're probably going to get some feedback this evening following. Can we give our personal,
No, we
it's
can't
gonna
have
be nothing until September?
Council would
As-
consider to have another open
like for the
house or
reasons
something
that-
like that. Yeah, there could be other opportunities to engage with residents, but in terms of sharing opinions and thoughts at this
Not
meeting.
opinions, I guess that was the wrong, not personal. Like, can we, sort of give the reasons why we're tabling it?
No,
No?
unfortunately, that's not, sorry, that is a rule of procedure, that's how tabling motions work at any, whether it's council, city council across the country, or any board that you're involved on. Once a motion to table is made and presented and voted on, the discussion on that matter is entirely tabled. So, no, unfortunately, we cannot, based on the rules of procedure here or anywhere else. So we have to make sure we follow those rules. Doesn't restrict further discussion at subsequent meetings. Does that help answer your question?
It helps, but yeah.
I know,
it's
I know,
unfortunate,
I
but
know.
Yeah, I
Trust me.
understand it, yeah.
Counselor, yeah. I'm always the rules police. I'm always the bad one. So please. Okay, so with that, we will move on to item 6E, which is the 480 Central Street restricted use. This is also Councilor Duran as chair planning.
COS 24-071, whereas an application was received from Corey Arsenault, Core Ventures, Inc., for restricted use for PID number 1173798 to allow a retail space at 480 Central Street in the high-density residential R4 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas in accordance with Section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, Council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, suitability of the site for the proposed development, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses, any comments from residents or other interested persons, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking and parklands for accommodating the development and any projected infrastructure requirements, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety and on public safety generally, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources, impacts on city finances and budgets, other matters as specified in this bylaw, other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved, the council approve a restricted use for retail store at 480 Central Street, PID number 1173798 in the high-density residential R4 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, subject to the following conditions. 1, the restricted use is restricted to a retail space, a consultation office, 2 tanning rooms, a washroom, and a utility room as per the attached floor plan. This bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting of August 6th, 2024, and the floor plan is attached. Moved by myself, and I would ask for a seconder. Councilor Morrison.
Thank you, Councilor. Resolution COS 24-071, moved by Councilor Duran, seconded by Councilor Morrison, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, discussion amongst members of council? Councilor McDougall?
Yeah, I believe when we talked about this, I'm not against something like this, but does this set a precedent on the size of retail space? We had some discussion around it the other day, and I don't know if it's been clarified.
I'm just looking at the resolution here.
Because we,
The recommendation that went to planning board was that this was not supported by the staff report that went to planning
right,
board.
yeah, so I'm just wondering if there's been something.
No, nothing's changed to my knowledge.
Councilor Duran?
Sorry, I just,
There was something around the size. Do you recall it? It was supposed to be 50%.
Originally around, it had to be 50%.
50%
Floor
retail.
space of a
Right.
residential dwelling usually? Is
Yeah.
there something along those lines? Linda was saying that it would have to be,
I don't think so. It was,
yeah, it had to do with 50% of the floor space of
Yeah.
a residential dwelling.
Right.
Where this
Right.
is 8 units and it doesn't cover 50%, the recommendation came back that they would not support
I thought they didn't recommend it last time.
it. Exactly, from,
Correct.
Right. So in saying that, does this set a precedent? What happens? I think it's going
I
forward.
think
I just want to make
yeah.
sure that it's clear that everybody understands. I'm definitely not against it. If there's a way to get it done in this place, I just don't want to be hit down the road with a number of them, right?
I think the
Anyway.
communication that came through in the planning report outlined that this is not the intended use of the restrictive use provisions under zoning bylaw. So would it set a precedent? I mean, sometimes I think that term's used a little too broadly. Restrictive uses are all judged on their own merits on an individual case-by-case basis, so. But generally speaking, the discussion was at the planning board level certainly was that okay.
Councilor McCollum?
I also thought that Ms. Stevenson had made the comment, and I could be off in this portion of what we're discussing, but that if one of the units was in a building that was originally applied for residential, then that could set a precedent in other buildings. That's what I took from it when she was explaining some of the things that we had to be very aware of. That if that's allowed in a residential unit, then we're opening ourselves up for that to happen in other buildings.
Councilor Kamen?
Thank you. I think, like CAO said, that throwing the word precedent around is quite, we use it quite often, and not necessarily that it's a bad thing. Things change and the way people do business changes, and this is kind of one of those things that's maybe the first of its kind in the city, but you always need the first of its kind to start something. That doesn't mean that we necessarily need to go full throttle and say 100% just that. Like, we could add restrictions to that. It could be that, a building owner is the only person that can do that in their own building, but they have to operate the business. Like, there's certain things that we can make sure that not just anyone and everyone can do this within a building. And I think that maybe we need to explore that option a little bit more rather than just know that it doesn't fit exactly with the bylaw. I think we've gone down that rabbit hole a few times with home-based businesses, that we realize that just because it doesn't fit in doesn't mean that it can't fit in. I think that that would be, my suggestion would be to put some restrictions on it, so that it would only be the owner of the building that could operate a business out of the building, and that they have to operate that business. It couldn't be, you know, Justin's my tenant and I say, yeah, sure, operate a business out of there. We'll get it changed to commercial space. We have to, it's only the owner and operator has to be the same person. And if they were to move or sell, then it should just automatically go back to what its original designation would be.
Okay, members of council, two ways to do this. We just put the vote to the resolution as presented, or Councillor Cameron, you would then put an amended version of the resolution that would include a restriction regarding the operator, that the restricted use would be limited to Core Ventures Inc. owner Corey Arsenault for operating a business, and that would be it. If I recall, under restricted use, where the council has one discretion to make a number of decisions, but also discretion to add conditions, so that condition would be certainly suitable.
I'm okay with that. You wanna add that?
Vote on the original one first?
Yeah, I guess I'll look for the rest of council, and nods on the left, other members of council.
I know I
Thoughts on
would
it?
certainly be willing to support that amendment, and I believe that the applicant is, you know, okay with that as well. That's sort of the, yeah.
Okay, I'm getting some gentle nods, so we'll, all right. The motion was put on the floor, so Councillor Duran would withdraw the resolution on the
Or we'd vote on it.
floor, or we just
I think you can just, you can,
vote on
you
the
can ask for a
amendment?
friendly
Sure,
amendment.
friendly
Add
amendment
that
from Councillor
condition.
Cameron. So the resolution COS 24-071, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Morrison, as amended, amendment to include a restriction with respect to the operator of said business of the retail store, that being limited to Corey Arsenault of Core Ventures, Inc. I didn't write this down, Brian, so someone hopefully write it down. You guys asked me to repeat it, and I can't repeat it, just say it the one time. So the resolution COS 24-071, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Morrison, as amended, is also on the floor. I'll call for now for a vote. Okay, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution as amendment is carried. Thank you, council. Resolution COS, we're out to the, sorry, I've got all kinds of notes on my, marks on my page here. We're up to the public street naming off Reed Drive. Councillor Duran, over to you again.
Thank you, Your Worship. COS 24-072. Moved by myself, and I would ask for a seconder. Councillor Cameron. Whereas the City of Summerside is a designated municipality under the Emergency 911 Act, and whereas as a designated municipality is responsible to name a street, public or private, where the street serves 3 or more properties, and whereas the developer 102454 PEI Inc., Nathan Kember of the public street, wishes to submit the street name Kember in honor of the family name. The Kember family own and operate a number of businesses as well as housing developments in the city. And whereas as required by Schedule B, street naming policy of the City Subdivision and Site Development Bylaw SS-19, Council shall approve or deny the recommendation or request by simple resolution based on 1, the recommendation of the Street Naming Committee, 2, the conformance of the proposed street name with this policy, and 3, any other considerations that Council considers relevant. Be it resolved, the Council approve the following street name submitted by the developer. As per the street name policy, the suffix will be street. The official street name is Kember Street. The public street is located off Reed Drive, PID number 756825. This bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting of August 6th, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. Could you just repeat for me who moved and seconded?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cameron.
Great, thank you. Resolution COS 24-072, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Cameron, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, discussion amongst members of council? Seeing no lights, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 1. Resolution is carried. Thank you, Councillor. We'll now move on to the next resolution. Councillor Adams is representative for Emergency Services. This is over to you.
Sorry, these are all mixed up in our thing. Resolution COS 24-073, moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Snow. Whereas parking on both sides of Oak Avenue have become a safety concern, be it resolved that Appendix A of CS-27 Traffic and Parking Bylaw be updated so that the south side of Oak Avenue between Central and Cedar Streets become a no parking zone. This bears the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole meeting of August 6, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Resolution COS 24-073, moved by Councillor Adams, seconded by Councillor Snow, is now on the floor. Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council?
Thank you.
Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, Councillor Adams. With that, I'll move back to Councillor Duran for items H, I, and J. Councillor?
Resolution COS 24-074. Whereas the City of Summerside seeks to have constructed a new road that will connect Ryan Street and Water Street East, allowing for traffic flow across the city in either an easterly or westerly direction. And whereas CS-42 East-West Connector Bylaw was read and formally adopted a first time at the council meeting held on August 6th, 2024. And whereas the addition of following amendment to the proposed CS-42 East-West Connector Bylaw has been identified following the first reading, and that is for Section 5.5, notwithstanding Section 5.3, the terms of this bylaw shall apply where there is any conflict or inconsistency between this bylaw and the local improvement bylaw, CS-26. Be it resolved that CS-42 East-West Connector Bylaw be hereby read a second time, and CS-42, the East-West Connector Bylaw, is attached. Moved by myself, and I would ask for a seconder. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Snow.
Thank you, Councillor. Resolution COS 24-074, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Snow, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Councillor Adams?
Can I just ask a quick question? So we're referring to it in this as East-West Connector Bylaw. So should it not be called East-West Housing Corridor Bylaw? Like in all our official, that's what it's called. Should we be referring to it as the same thing consistently so that?
I think it's a great point moving forward. It's, at this stage, we likely don't want to change the name of it, but I think it's a good point moving forward.
Yeah, I just thought like if it comes to applying for different things, like it might be, if the people are looking at items and they see East-West Connector and East-West Housing Corridor, or we know that's the same thing, but.
This bylaw is specific to that project, and it really only affects the landowners that are adjacent to that project, and they're all quite familiar with it.
Thank you.
Councillor Snow? Councillor Duran? They have all kinds of lights on, but no one with anything to say. Okay, so just back to you, Councillor Adams, are you suggesting that the language change from connector to corridor throughout the bylaw, or are we?
I would, because that's what we call it, that's what we, like any
Pretty easy amendment. Doesn't change the substance of anything. Okay. Okay, trying to think about how we do this. I'm just reading through it. East-West Connector bylaw. I guess we would put, sure, we can do this. Resolution COS 24-074, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Snow, amended to replace the term corridor, to replace the term connector with corridor. Throughout, housing corridor, sure, housing corridor throughout the bylaw and resolution. Is on the floor. I'll now call for a vote. All members of council in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried as amended. As I made it work with all of my lawyer skills to make up words as we go along. Okay, but great addition, Councillor. Councillor Drum.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. Now, I guess just one question before I proceed. Should I refer to the, in these next two resolutions, rather than state East-West Connector Bylaw, now say East-West Corridor Bylaw?
I think you just read it as is, and then we just make amendment for each one.
Fair enough. COS 24-075, whereas the City of Summerside seeks to have constructed a new road that will connect Ryan Street and Water Street East, allowing for traffic flow across the city in either an easterly or westerly direction. And whereas CS-42 East-West Connector Bylaw was read and formally approved a first time at the council meeting held on August 6th, 2024, and whereas CS-42 East-West Connector Bylaw was read a second time at this council meeting, be it resolved that CS-42 East-West Connector Bylaw be hereby approved. Moved by myself, and I would once again ask for a seconder. Councillor McDougall.
Thank you, Councillor. Resolution COS 24-075, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor McDougall, amended to replace the term connector with housing corridor throughout the resolution, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions from members of council? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Councillor Duran.
Resolution COS 24-076. Whereas the City of Summerside seeks to have constructed a new road that will connect Ryan Street and Water Street East, allowing for traffic flow across the city in either an easterly or westerly direction. And whereas CS-42 East-West Connector Bylaw was read and formally approved at two separate meetings held on different days, be it resolved that CS-42 East-West Connector Bylaw be formally adopted. Moved by myself, and I would ask for a final seconder. Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. Resolution COS 24-076, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Adams, as amended to replace the term connector with housing corridor throughout the said resolution, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, Councillor Duran, for your excellent stick handling this evening. With that, we move into item 7, department reports. We start with Representative Councillor McDougall for Finance. Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I do have a report here this evening. Good evening, colleagues, City Council, and business residents of the City of Summerside. The report today includes our year-to-date financial results for the first quarter of 2023-24. These preliminary results show a consolidated surplus of $281,300 compared to a budgeted surplus of $12,885. It's not unusual to be reporting a surplus for the first quarter results, as our capital expenditures are typically minimal at this time. A projection to March 31st, 2025 will be prepared when we report the second quarter results, and this will be more indicative of what our operating results will be for the fiscal year. Our external auditors, Grant Thornton, are on site for our annual year-end audit, and our 2023-24 audited financial statements will be presented to Council in late September and filed with the Government of PEI no later than October 15th. Our preliminary results project a small surplus for 2023-24. Disconnections for non-payment are occurring, and we strongly encourage customers who have an outstanding utility balances that are greater than 60 days to address their overdue balances. August 13th, 2024, our past due total amount is $173,547, which is a decrease from $183,533 on July 10th, 2024. Of the $173,547 past due, $26,542 is greater than 60 days overdue. This compares to $38,099 on July 10th. That's basically it for my report. If there's any questions, we'll try to get an answer for you. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Seeing no... Yep, step out for a minute, sure. Seeing no questions from members of council, we'll move on to B, Emergency Services and Communications Representative, Councillor Adams. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. Okay, we'll start off with police, and thank you to Deputy Chief Blackear. Summerside Police participated in joint road safety checks with RCMP and Kensington Police. Also included MAD, mandatory screening of motors for alcohol consumption, was completed on a number of drivers. As part of our employee recognition program, one of our dispatchers was recognized for the excellent work she does in our dispatch center. Do we know who? Should we say who that is? One of them? Do we know? Offhand? Charmaine? Charlene. Okay, yes. So Charlene was recognized for the excellent work she does in our dispatch center. So congratulations and thank you to Charlene. I'm sure she gets all kinds of calls. The police service is currently recruiting 2 candidates who are interested in pursuing a career in policing. The successful candidates will be eligible to have all expenses associated with their attendance at the Atlantic Police Academy paid for, and will be paid $20 an hour for their on-the-job training. The candidates are required to sign a return and service agreement with the City of Summerside, so that means they come back and work for City Police after completion. And the closing date on applications is Friday, September 13th at 4 p.m. And I know that that's been pushed out a lot on our social media lately, so any questions, you can contact the police service. In July, a member attended Stick Through Sport Together, hosted by the Boys and Girls Club. MMA fighter George St. Pierre was in attendance. And SPS member attended a mock jail at Twin Shores Campground as part of a fundraising effort by Canada 911 Ride Atlantic. And that's all for police services. I know there's a million other things going on, but that's the highlights for the staff part. And fire services, summary of calls in July, there were 38 calls, 8 were medical first responder calls, 29 silent alarms, and 1 was a general alarm for a structure fire. Training, physical training, most training exercises we do consist of physical training, which is particularly challenging during the month of July due to the increased risk of heat stroke. So there was a very small total of 65 hours spent on skill development, but this will, as we move out of the summer months, this will pick back up to where it is. It's usually in the hundreds. On summer weekend duties, on-duty teams, during the summer weekends, teams are required to remain within city limits and respond to all calls from Friday to Sunday. This ensures the firefighters are always available during peak vacation and travel times. And also they cover special events, Friday Night Classic Car Show. Given the success of the event and the potential for emergencies, we now station the side-by-side and personnel in the downtown area to ensure quick response capability. And that was from Ken Culleton. Ken does reports for the Summerside Fire Service. That's it.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Questions, Councillor McCollum?
I just wanted to mention on the Friday Night Classic Car Show, it's really appreciated. Yeah. That they're always in attendance, and I think people really do appreciate that. Thank you.
With that, we move on to C, Community Services and Tourism Representative, Councillor Morrison. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. Summerside Dome. Numerous birthday parties were hosted at Dome. at the Dome. The Summerside Boys and Girls Club and Tenacity Hockey School have been at the Dome Monday through Friday the last 4 weeks as part of their summer programming. Active Living has been hosting plenty of programs for the public, including our Some Fun programs at Leger Park. Along with operating the canteen and daily programs at Leger Park, staff are preparing for the end of summer splash event, which will take place at Leger Park on August the 30th from 1 to 4. There will be inflatable water slides, face painters, and various other activities such as chalk art and lawn games. In the pool, in July, there were 84 participants enrolled in private swimming lessons and parent and taught lessons. The Aquatic Center had 14 participants pass their Swim to Survive standard. 7 participants passed their bronze medallion and got certified in emergency first aid. There were roughly 520 Aquafit participants during the month. In the Convention Center in July, there were 20 convention room rentals. A big highlight was the Club Velocity, which is a large group of 150 bicyclists from Quebec who made 2 overnight stays at Microtel. They had 2 large group meals at the Convention Center during their stay. Staff took part in a familiarization tour through meetings and conventions PEI, where regional organizers are taking around to different member venues for a site tour and some fun experiences. The box office continues to sell Celtic Thunder tickets and is planning for the Summerside Western Capital season ticket sales, along with the launch of the Rivalry Series tickets. A renovated front reception was completed with new countertops, flooring, and cabinets installed, and it looks great. At the Fit Stop is getting new equipment from Matrix on August 22nd. The equipment will be all the cable-weighted machines. In the Island Petroleum Energy Center are kind of used in place. 8 washrooms around the walking track had new countertops installed. Bowl countertops should be installed by the end of August. Lots of paintings have been completed throughout the building. And in Parks and Green Spaces, a new piece of playground equipment was installed at Errol Thompson Park. The equipment is designed for children 18 months to 5 years of age. In addition, 2 new trees were planted. Maintenance was conducted on all of the protective surface area, and a new picnic table was added to the park. And just a few highlights through the summer in events. For July 1st was Canada Day. July 10th, they had the Summerside Showdown softball tournament, which had roughly 1,000 participants and 2,500 spectators. On July 19th, the annual Beach Volleyball Lobster Fest tournament, which had 250 participants. July 16th, annual Beach Volleyball Lobster Fest tournament. This was 2 weekends in a row with 1,000 participants and 500 spectators. On August the 4th, they hosted the Tri-Lobster Triathlon World Qualifier, 300 participants, 350 spectators. On August the 8th, the 21U Women's Baseball National Championship, 200 participants, 4,000 spectators, and staff will now switch their focus to begin planning the following events: Powerlifting Nationals in September, Rivalry Series in February, and curling events in March. And I'll thank Director J.P. DeRoger for his report, and if there's any questions, we'll attempt to answer them.
Councillor Snow?
Not a question, just a comment. As somebody who is involved with the Summerside softball, the Summerside Showdown softball tournament is quickly becoming probably the best softball tournament in the Maritimes, if not further. I was around all that weekend as well, and the thousand participants and spectators, and that's very accurate. It's amazing the number of people around and what it does for hotels. There's a hotel, somebody runs a hotel too. It's amazing what those events do for the city. And then the work that the community services staff do on all the events that bring people to our community and get to show off why we're so lucky to live here. It's great to have. So continue doing all the great work.
Thank you for that, and I'll pass those kind words along. And like I say, there's nothing better to see events going on in the city, hosting stuff, and people roaming up and down the streets and spending a little bit of money in Summerside.
Councillor McDougall?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I know we passed along our thanks and for the grounds crews last month, and they do a great job, but I've been asked to pass along a big thank you to the young fellow that's on the boardwalk every morning at 6:30 he never stops. He gets up, starts, starts that old whippersnapper and head down and walks one end to the other and does a great job, and people really appreciate him. So I just wanted to pass that along.
Thank you, Councillor. We'll move on to Representative Councillor Cameron for Governance, HR, and Legal Services. Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. A warm welcome to Corey Thompson, who started in the role of Communications Coordinator with Community Services, and also to Tyler Jeffrey, who is Sunbank's new semi-skilled laborer. HR staff performed orientation for both individuals as they commenced working for the city. Sergeant Dale Corish won the staff draw for the Charlottetown Festival. My next point is obsolete because Councillor Adams talked about that, although you can pick up your applications at the HR department of City Hall. There's one thing to add. The city's new employee ID program moved one step closer to reality. The majority of city staff had their photos taken for their IDs. The next step will be working with the IT department staff to produce physical IDs and then to have them delivered to the employees. And that is all for my report.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Next is Municipal Services, which is still a gap, so I will read that into the record here for members of the public. Public Works, Water and Sewer Utility highlights. The City of Summerside Public Works Department completed hot asphalt road repairs and are on to storm catch basin maintenance. Arrows along with stop bars at intersections have been marked with traffic paint. Center line and parking spaces paint marking effort continues into the month, being completed by the end of August. The rain barrel program for water utility has been completed with all rain barrels sold. The water utility offered rain barrels for sale at wholesale prices for the first 100 rain barrels purchased by customers. And the new dump truck for Public Works has arrived on site. The dump truck was tendered in 2023 with a 2-year delivery. With respect to electric utility highlights, this month of, this says June, is that right? Would be July? I'm gonna go with July. Had Summerside Electric powered by local renewable energy for 54.1% of the time. The new electric utility truck is due to arrive later this month. The truck was ordered on November 2022 for a 1-year and 9-month delivery. The city has experienced several outages of electricity in the last month caused by extreme weather events. Customers and residents are reminded of the preparation needed during climate change to be prepared for loss of services as the hurricane season occurs. Councilor McDougall.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I just have a comment, and I know it's probably through Municipal Works because I had talked to Director Greg. There's a pedestal missing that was never installed on Langeold Drive. I have talked to Director Greg, and he has tried to line up the Bell and East Link and to get this pedestal put in place, and the people, it's right by the cul-de-sac, and I get a call a week or a call a month or so on this. I have contacted Bell myself. They finally come back to me and said it's the developers. I've put 3 calls into the developer, and the developer has not returned the call. And they stated that it's the developer's responsibility. So this subdivision has been open for the last 4 or 5 years, I guess, and the pedestal has still not been covered. So if our CAO could shake a few branches on that one, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. We'll now move on to Representative Coleman for Arts, Culture, and Diversity. Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to thank Director Laurie Ellis for preparing the public report for this evening. The following report captures some highlights of Culture Summerside's activity from mid-July to the middle of August time period. The Summerside Lobster Carnival, the 68th Summerside Lobster Carnival, was held on July 11th through to the 13th. The event was very well attended and was a success from many perspectives. Despite dealing with considerable rain, numbers were up, and the previous year from the previous year at the Midway, and overall attendance did not decline. Overall, feedback is positive. A more robust final report on the event will be circulated at a later date. The Diverse City Festival, Culture Summerside, and URSA, that is the Settlement Association with newcomers, together have delivered the Diverse City Festival in Summerside on July 21st. The celebration of multiculturalism, diversity, and inclusion happened on the grounds of the Lafergie Cultural Center, and it was a very well-attended event. The Summerside Pride Walk and Community Barbecue, the first for Summerside, was held on July 14th at the Summerside City Hall and Wide Heritage Properties. The event was very well attended, with participation well surpassing expectations. Feedback was positive, and those attending were very appreciative of the city's hosting of a Pride Week event. And I would just like to give a big shout out to Councillor Nick Cameron, who worked very hard on getting that organized with Culture Summerside. Summerside Arts Festival, Wide Heritage Properties Incorporated, and Culture Summerside held the Summerside Arts Festival on July 22nd to the 24th. Over 200 artists' demonstrations were offered to the public that ranged from jewelry making, stained glass work, to learning about soapstone carving, to basket making. A children's makerspace rounded out the experience, offering something for everyone. The Bishop Machine Shop Museum has been packed up to prepare for the move of the building. While small items weighed over thousands of pounds, larger artifacts such as the large lathe weighed 5,500 pounds. Other lathes weighed over 3,000 pounds each. The weight of this collection required the use of cranes and special forklifts. The building will be moved in the coming weeks, and for those people who may be wondering on that, the Bishop Machine Shop is being moved to be encompassed with all of the Wide Heritage Properties. For that reason, there's some big factors. Number one, for safety against vandalism, but also because it ties in really well with the heritage theme that Culture Summerside and Wide Heritage Properties is becoming very well known for. Traveler's Choice Award. Each year, TripAdvisor recognizes travelers' favorite business around the world based on reviews and ratings collected over a 12-month period. The Wyatt Historic House Museum is a Traveler's Choice Award winner in 2024. Reviews from millions of TripAdvisor travelers place our Wyatt House Museum experience in the top 10% worldwide. We are the #1 top attraction in Summerside according to TripAdvisor reviews. And I would just like to give a really big shout out to the staff and Director Laurie, because they work very hard in presenting a very quality product when people do come for any of the events, but especially to have that recognition, it's very good for Summerside and the department. That concludes my report. If there's any questions.
Thank you, Councillor McColman. And with that, we'll move on to Technical Services Representative, Councillor Durant. Councillor?
Okay, thank you again, Your Worship. Thank you to Director McDonald for preparing the report this evening. The 2024 construction season and capital project season continues. The sewer main replacement work continues on Duke Street. The sewer liner program was completed to the treatment plant. Sidewalk replacement has been completed on Granville Street and Route 1A has started on McDougall. The street paving program has been completed. Staff have a city map showing the locations of planned projects for the year ahead. This information has been added to our city website and will continue to be updated as projects proceed throughout the season. 18 building permits with a value of just over $10.1 million were issued for the month of July, for a year-to-date total of 108 permits and a value of just over $63.3 million. The breakdown of permits issued for this month are 1 commercial, 3 institutional, and on the residential side, we issued permits for 3 new single-family, 3 for additions or alterations, 4 for semi-detached, 2 for signs and accessory buildings, 1 demolition, and 1 for a 24-unit apartment building. The second tender for the east-west project is going out in August. The tender for the active transportation trail on South Drive is going out to tender in August as well. The new road opposite Roy Boats has started, and this road will connect from Granville to Central. And developers are stopping in and speaking to staff for assistance with their proposed projects for this year. It's also a great time for our citizens to ask for assistance if they need assistance with their projects that they may have planned for this summer and this fall. And I did mention at our Committee of the Whole meeting last Tuesday just about the active transportation lane and the intersection on Pope and Greenwood. That's expected to go to tender in August this month as well, and hopefully construction will start and finish into the early winter. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to field them.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. We'll move on to Representative Deputy Mayor Snow, Representative for Economic Development and Growth.
Thank you, Your Worship. The following is a brief update from the Office of Economic Development. While there's been significant activity in furthering investment conversations, one program that we have invested a lot of work and collaborative effort in with the Summerside businesses is the New Heights Labor Recruitment Campaign. Labor is a leading concern nationwide, and that includes Summerside. Starting in 2022, we identified employers in our key sectors that wish to grow but are limited by traditional methods, job boards, job fairs, radio, as well as awareness both locally and across Canada. Generally speaking, Summerside businesses at large identified finding skilled labor as a top 3 concern over the past 6 years. A prosperous city is one that attracts and or keeps young families through creating and fulfilling meaningful job positions where they can enjoy attractive lifestyle while making an impact by applying their skills and credentials. The places in Canada that figure that out first will be the most successful. With this initial run of content on social media, we have made close to 100,000 impressions, ultimately resulting in approximately 1,000 links clicked on the website, followed by 500 clicks on companies that have actual job postings. This campaign puts many more eyes on us than would be otherwise. The goal is to continually get job seekers thinking about Summerside. That is to create awareness and facilitate conversations that we are a place for young professionals. We want to allow businesses in our key sectors to grow uninhibited and ultimately feature more companies and their offerings. This concludes my monthly report. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Snow. With that, we'll just take a brief 2 or 3 minute recess before we move into our in-camera session. I know our Deputy Chief of Police is here in the hallway, so just give members of the public a chance to step out, and then we'll continue.